Saturday, #2 Iowa travels to Michigan, where they haven't won in 6 years. To the heart of the Midwest, Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's the Iowa Hawkeyes against the Wolverines of Michigan. On to the victors. That'll get the blood boiling, won't it? Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. Iowa 19-1. A team with one goal in mind. Get to New Orleans in the Final Four. Following this game, 2 other teams with that same dream will come your way on CBS. Syracuse will be down in Landover to take on the Hoyas at Georgetown. Then a little bit later, we'll take you out to the West Coast. It'll be the season premiere of PGA Golf on CBS, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. But now, let's get to a discussion of Iowa and Michigan. My colleague, Billy Packer. Billy, Dr. Tom Davis has brought his coaching act from Stanford to Iowa. What will he change with this team? What are they doing differently?
Well, what he's doing differently, he's got great players, thanks to George Raveling. But we're going to see the same team that people can remember back at BC. Zone defense, pressing you all over the floor, using the full ball club. He's got 10 men on this team. They all can play. We're going to see the great pressing defense, fast breaking type offense, everybody getting into the act. He's got 5 players scoring over double figures. This is an outstanding team.
Yeah, but Michigan has come alive here the last couple of weeks. What must Bill Frieder do to keep the Wolverines in this?
He's got one of those good news, bad news stories. If you're going up against this kind of press, you've got to have a great guard, and he has a great guard in Gary Grant. In my opinion, the best defensive guard in America. But he's a guy that plays all over the court, loves to play in a high-scoring ball game. And Grant is capable, as we can see right here, to play against anybody either on the offensive or defensive end. But if his athletic ability gets him going too much, you find this a run-shoot game, and I don't think Michigan can beat them in that type of a ball game.
Billy, as you know, this arena has been a tough one for the Hawkeyes. They have not won here since 1981. We'll be right back with the tip. CBS Sports presents college basketball. Today's game between the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Michigan Wolverines is sponsored by Budweiser, the genuine article. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. Mass Mutual. We insure more than lives. We insure success. And by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. The Iowa Hawkeyes, one of 3 teams tied for the Big Ten lead under Tom Davis. They are 7-1 in the conference. He will start up front, and this is a big, talented front line. 6'5", Roy Marble. Next to him is 6'8", Ed Horton. The center is a 7-footer, Brad Lohas. Likes to play facing the basket. In the backcourt, the key man. Next to Kevin Gamble, who is the off guard, 6'6". The ball handler is 6'2", B.J. Armstrong. He'll face a tough defensive challenge today because Bill Frieder has the best defensive guard in the country. Now up front for Frieder, who's in his 7th year, he'll have Antoine Jobert, who was a guard and has been moved to the front court. Glenn Rice, Mark Hughes at 6'8" as a center. Then in that backcourt, it'll be Gary Grant at 6'3" and Guard Thompson, the three-point whiz, at 6'1". We are underway in the Chrysler Arena, the Hawkeyes of Iowa in the dark road uniforms, Michigan wearing the home whites. Grant taking Armstrong, and Grant is called for rather a chippy foul.
Whoa, in a game like this, Brent, if they're going to call that kind of foul, and that was just a little bit of hand checking, 35 feet away from the basket, that's quite a call to start a ball game. And Michigan obviously cannot play without Grant in the lineup. He got in foul trouble against Indiana, and that really hurt him.
Intercepted on the turnover. Jobert's out with the Grant.
Beautiful pass.
Iowa loves that bounce pass.
Straight man-to-man by Michigan.
Lohas staying out beyond the three-point line. They move it around the perimeter.
Nice patience for a team that scores way up in the 90s. A lot of teams that like to run and press can't play a half-court offense. Nice structure for Iowa.
Tom Davis is watching the defensive switches in this ball movement. Gamble, the two-guard, misses, and Jobert rebounds. He has one turnover and now a rebound to contribute to the Wolverines. Hughes missing. Rice can't tap it in, but Hughes comes back with a left-hand miss. Michigan on the glass, dominating in that series.
Well, a big change for Michigan has been the play of Mark Hughes. He started coming off the box against Indiana. Great body to go ahead and get position inside and keep it alive.
Now another turnover. That's two by the Hawkeyes. Thompson, Lojas seals him. It's Rice again, missing. An easy layup for him.
Rice probably should have gone for the dunk.
There's a call away. It's a technical foul on Bill Frieder in the Michigan bench.
They are calling this game tight. You get the feeling, Brent, that maybe the officials think they better not let this game get away from them. I mean, that was a quick foul on hand checking and a real quick technical. Frieder's out on the court now. And that'll be two. And the ball out of bounds. It's amazing to me, Brent, in a game like this with so much on the line, how players lose their breath early in the ball game. You saw both teams really out of wind, and I think that's one of the reasons Rice wasn't capable of going for that dunk. He was just worn out.
Not yet on the scoreboard. Armstrong missing the technical. Frieder complaining. The referee today, Ed Marisic, Randy Drury, and Vern Sell working with him. That reflects what I told you moments ago about Iowa at the top. And they're the other two teams with them. Indiana and Purdue both 7-1. Michigan playing well at 5-3. Sleeper, Billy, what kind of a chance do they have of making the NCAA tournament field?
Oh, this conference is going to go at least 6 deep. And that club down there is Illinois with those 3 losses. Boy, they're the heartbreak kids.
Lojas traveled. No basket. That's the 3rd turnover by the Hawkeyes in the early going. They trail Michigan 4-1. The crowd definitely into this one.
Now, what hurts if you're not scoring? You can't get in the press, so you can see that that's taken away one of Iowa's biggest weapons. Straight man-to-man by Iowa. They like to play zone, but they're going after Michigan man-to-man.
Now a turnover by the Wolverines. They get back well on defense, but a great pass inside. Play defensively. Oh, Rice went over there with that block.
Not only did he block it, he hung on to it.
Gobert with a chance for a three-pointer.
And we're going to see Gamble's got an easy lane to the basket. Rice comes over here, goes up, pins the ball on the board, and then is able to come down with it. That's one of the best blocks of the year. We saw Coleman last week for Syracuse go up and catch one, but that was even a tougher play.
Tom Davis, who will go to his bench often, has already sent in Al Lorenzen, a 6'9 junior, and Gary Wright, a 6'7 senior. Wright handling the ball, playing with that bandage on his left hand. He broke 4 knuckles. An incident involving a door back in Iowa City. Jobert reaching in is hit in the face inadvertently on that steal, and he is down by the baseline.
I believe he got hit a little bit in the eye, and he got hit by Marble, who he stole the ball from. A little bit of Michigan pride going right here. Marble, of course, from Michigan. There's the good block by Jobert. See, he got scraped in the eye by Marble, and of course, that's the story that we know about in the Purdue game, where Marble was scraped in the eye by himself, missed the entire ball game from that point on.
Jobert, one of the leaders in this early spurt by Michigan, with the Wolverines leading the Hawkeyes 7-1. 17:38 to go. First half from the Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor. From the field, Michigan is 3 of 7. Jobert puts up the great shot, rattles out. Gamble, the guard, pulls it down with a rebound. Tom Davis tries to apply pressure at both ends. It has not yet been effective.
That was a walk.
Gets away with it. Offensive rebound is Marble, and he draws the foul. Billy, let me show you the starting lineup from a year ago. Andre Banks graduated. This the Hawkeye starters, and 3 of them began this game on the bench. Al Lorenzen, Gary Wright, and Bill Jones. 2 of them have checked in, and that's how deep this team is.
Well, you got to figure, with the exception of injury, there's Mo in the ball game, who's averaging over double figures coming off the bench. But with the exception of injury, Wright probably would have stayed in that starting lineup. But everybody's going to play a lot of minutes the way that Tom Davis substitutes, so it's really unimportant who's in that starting lineup.
Now, George Raveling was the coach. He recruited the bulk of this team. And Billy, why did he opt to go out to USC?
Well, I think George just likes to be in a major city. People laugh at that when they say he was at Washington State all that time, but I think he wanted that opportunity to go to a Southern California major city, and he'll be successful there in time also. One of the nation's real top-notch recruiters.
I have a suggestion to make. If this Hawkeye team makes the Final Four, let's let Raveling sit at the end of the bench. He did a great job of recruiting, folks.
Well, Tom Davis is a team player. He might go along with that.
Hughes whips it to Thompson in the corner. Here's Grant.
It's the zone.
Lorenzen rebounding. Great high school player out of the state of Iowa. Armstrong turned it over on the move. Doesn't get away with that one. That's their 5th turnover here in the early going, Billy.
Armstrong, 85 assists, 50 turnovers on the year. Not a lot of assists for a team that runs as much as they do, and he's got the ball in his hands. Here's a little half-court trap coming up. It's nice to have a guy like guard Thompson out there that recognizes the defense. They really have 3 guards in the game because Jobert has played the guard position also.
Thompson's 3-pointer.
Guard Thompson suffering from a very deep blister in his foot. Looked good on that shot.
Mo and Lorenzen, and the Hawkeyes are being forced to stay at the perimeter. In a setup game, Tom Davis likes to get the ball inside. And again, it is turned over down there. That's the 6th turnover here in the early going by the Hawkeyes. A major test for Armstrong in this game because he is up against someone who's as talented defensively as Grant.
Well, you see the respect they have for Gary Grant. They could have trapped there, but as soon as he put the ball on the floor, Iowa retreated.
Rice from the corner. Buries 2 more, and it's 12-2 here in the early going.
Boy, is Jobert working on defense. As I said, it's a Michigan challenge for him. He was the player of the year in Michigan high school ranks.
Right, with a major league move. Now, he transferred from USC. He led the Pac-10 as a freshman in blocked shots.
Oh, look at Grant go by Lorenzen.
Took it right in as deeply as he could.
Probably should have gone up with that shot, Brent.
From the corner, he hits that one. Oh, what a spurt by the Wolverines. Iowa only 1 of 4. He'll probably need a timeout here.
He's thinking about it, I'm sure. There's good double team.
Good defense by Michigan.
There's Wright again doing a job on the boards, and Hughes clears it out.
He muscled that rebound, didn't he?
Tom Davis waiting for the TV timeout, Brent. It may be something that he can't afford to do much longer. Back in the 1-2-2 zone. Marble up on the top. He'll go all the way down the baseline if he has to cover the post area. Now watch him. There he filters all the way down inside.
Then the 3-pointer by Thompson, and this one's off. Marble rebounds for Iowa. Armstrong. No fast break layup. Mo's 3-pointer is off. Wright tracks it down. Inside to Mo, who comes down the baseline for the layup and draws the foul inside, and that foul on Thompson, his first. So we will have a break. We'll be right back. It's 14-4. Well, the Wolverines don't need any help here this afternoon so far, but you are left to wonder that except for Proposition 48, how much help they would have received from these 2 young men. Terry Mills, who was one of the most highly recruited youngsters in the country, and Rumeal Robinson. They are ineligible. They are here watching. Seated there is Mills. He played on an intramural team the other night, and he's right there in the middle. He scored 36 points, and folks' intramural team lost by 12. He has put on 25 pounds lifting weights, and he said, notify everybody, I will be here next year.
I tell you what, if I'm the assistant coach, I'm going to the next intramural game. I want to see the team that wins. Forget about him. We know he can play. How about the guys that beat him by 12?
You know, more importantly than that, I want to say that Mills' grades came out, and it's 3-point average. He's B student. I spoke to him. He said, actually, it's to my advantage. I was allowed to settle in and study a little bit as Gamble puts in a field goal here for the Hawkeyes. Jack Robinson's grades are barely above a C, so he has done well too. Turnover.
Here's what makes the press for Iowa so tough. When Lohaus comes in the game, he's the guy that guards the man taking the ball out of bounds. It makes very tough passing lanes. First time Iowa's been able to turn it over in a press. Horton just powers it in.
Now, both those field goals inside, undoubtedly during that timeout. Davis told the Hawkeyes, let's pressure the ball inside. Thompson gives it. Rice, that's 8 points for Rice here in the first half, and a 16-8 lead by the Wolverines. And let's see if Iowa gets inside. Jones is on the floor for the first time. Bill Jones, 14, now directing the team into backcourt. Armstrong is out.
Great man-to-man still by Michigan. Got Mo going inside a lot on guard Thompson. Looks like he can get good pivot position. Has it? They don't hit him. There he is.
And Mo hitting the layup. So that's 3 straight shots underneath. First field goal by Jeff Mo, the 6'4" junior.
So they said he's averaging over double figures, just going up. Power against power there.
Gobert, and now the Hawkeyes coming back with their best spurt of the game, and it followed a timeout. The mark of a good coach when he can turn a team around like this. And again, they get it into the glass, reverse layup for the field goal, and the Hawkeyes are playing like a team that has gone 19-1 so far. Rice banks one in, a quality athlete, one of the best athletes on the floor this afternoon.
Brent, what you have, though, is the tempo going Iowa's way now. Michigan,
right to the glass.
What happens when you play Iowa, you think you've got them on the run, but they keep consistently coming after you with a press, and they get it playing their kind of game. They're just down 4. You'd think they're down 15.
Yeah, the Hawkeyes, after that cold start, they buried their last 5. Gobert hits one. He wanted the 3-point shot and doesn't get it from the referees.
He was actually looking down the line. He thought he was in there. That's a charge.
Charge on the offensive foul, and the turnover, it'll go to the Wolverines. Michigan leading 20-14, but when that timeout was called, they were up 14-4.
One of the things that's so amazing to me about the way the Iowa team has adjusted to Tom Davis, they have confidence that they can come back with this particular type of pressure. If you're going to press a lot, you have a tendency where you're going to get behind in some games, but the game will come back to you. First team I can think was successful like that was Johnny Wooden's great UCLA clubs. You'd build out a lead on them, then there'd be that point in time when they just get a nice run and be all over.
That was Kramer who threw the inbounds pass. He just checked in for Michigan. Jack Kramer is a 6'3" freshman guard handling the ball, number 24. Marble has returned for the Hawkeyes. 3-pointer by Grant is off. Horton going for the rebound, collides underneath with Kramer, and the foul is called on the freshman.
That shows you the strength of Horton. Kramer, a pretty good-sized kid himself at about 6'4", 6'5". Horton just gets his hands on the ball, and you just can't move him.
You're never certain when you see a Davis team who's on the floor at a given moment. Armstrong has returned, but now Jones checks back in. They're in together for the first time. Lohaus is out there, Horton, and also Marble.
Now, Lohaus can make a jumper from that kind of range, and that's what makes it so tough. He steps outside, then they work all the quick guys inside in the post.
That low bounce pass, Lohaus turning around. Everything has been in close since that timeout when they trailed by 10.
Coming out of high school, Brad Lohaus was rated ahead of Mark Lowry, both coming out of the state of Arizona. Almost left Iowa, gave up on basketball. Now he's one of the top players in the league.
There is Vought's first offensive contribution. Loy Vaught is a 6'9" freshman. He was redshirted last year. He's a quality player also for Frieder. Lohaus's 3-pointer, a 7-foot 3-point artist. He loves to play facing the basket, and Davis, one of the changes he made with this team, brought him out from the hoop and said, face up, and I'll tell you, he made the young man a lot of money. The NBA will draft him, no doubt about it now.
Michigan being a little careless with their shots. They put them up too quick.
And Rice can't bang in the rebound.
Horton did a good job keeping Rice off the boards on that one.
Well, the Hawks were down by 10, and they are right there. They can convert here. A three-pointer with Ty, a two-pointer within one.
See, when you have a 7-footer out there at the top of the key, Brent, who has the ability to make the jump shot, you've got to play him. That opens up a lot of passing lanes inside. A lot of room in there.
We're going to have a break. That foul was on Vaught of Michigan. And we'll return in a moment. Billy, we got a 7-footer who likes to play it outside.
Well, he plays outside. See, he's behind the three-point line. What that allows is this entire area in here. He's got the great size so he can pass to anybody. He sees the lanes. In this particular case, he goes and takes the jumper. And when you take that jumper, you've got to go out and play him. You notice the passing lanes that opened up inside, and when a man can hit a jumper from out there at 7 feet, you got problems.
We have 11 minutes and 6 seconds to go in the first half. I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer. Michigan led by 10. Now they're up by 3. There's a foul underneath on the Wolverines. And the Hawkeyes have come back. You know, I've heard everyone express their opinion on the three-point pole. Broadcasters, they're always talking about it. And the writers, I hadn't seen anybody ask the players. So we had our producer, Bob Dekas, poll the teams yesterday. What do the players think? Michigan, 13 players said, yes, we like the three-pointer, keep it. Nobody was against it. Only 2 Iowa players did not like it, one of whom just hit that free throw. And Marble said, we don't like it because we don't need it. We can win without it.
Yeah, but let me tell you, Marble's shooting 1 for 5, 20% from the three-point line.
That would be the reason why.
That's kind of like Denny Crum. His team is 8 for 39 on the year from the three-point line.
Now Marble's free throws bring the Hawkeyes back to within 1. Gilbert off, and now the Hawkeyes, who have slowly come back following a timeout. They have hit their last 7 shots from the field after that timeout. What a change the coach made over there in that huddle.
Well, Brent, the game will come back to Iowa. Michigan is not being patient in their half-court offense.
Campbell's three-pointer is short. Thompson tucks it down for Michigan.
Gary Grant's been a little silent on the offensive end of the floor. Look for him to start penetrating in that zone a little bit.
Mike Griffin, number 20, out there now for the Wolverines. He checked in during that timeout. Grant from the corner is off, and Vaught came up over the back and fouled right.
You notice Michigan living and dying with the outside shot. They've had no penetration against the zone. They're not getting the ball inside as they did at the start of the game.
That's the second personal foul on Vaught.
Oklahoma off to a run again. Florida State had a good start this year. Now they're getting beat by Virginia Tech.
Notice how the Hawkeyes are also shooting more free throws, a little more aggressive underneath, and
taking the ball inside. When you're going to go to the perimeter game, unless you're a three-point team, you really have a problem. You've got to adjust, particularly a team as good as Iowa. You've got to get the ball inside some.
That's Hughes returning, and Vaught sits down. Tied at 22. Michigan with a spurt, led from the opening buzzer. Should say the opening tap, and now the Hawks have battled back. Thompson three-pointer.
Off balance.
White rebounding.
They're putting it up much too quick.
Jones with that familiar bounce pass. Knocked away from Marble, and the foul is on Thompson. That's his second.
Good call. He reached in. But Brent, you notice that every time down floor, Michigan's used about 6-7 seconds on the clock and then taking an outside shot. They're not making Iowa work at all defensively in that zone, and that's going to cost you.
Well, on the floor for the Hawkeyes, with Mo returning right now. Marble, and as I say that, here comes Armstrong. Couple subs checking in.
You know, as a play-by-play guy, Brent, all you have to say is Iowa players. I mean, if you're going to have to do this, you know, drive you crazy. Makes no difference. They all are out there, good athletes.
Iowa at that free throw line, 7 of 9. It has made a difference. They're up by 2. Carving out their first lead of the game. Marble adds 2 more free throws, and he checks out. Mo replaces him.
And here's the guy that really got him lit up inside was Mo. His idol is Scott Skiles, and he has an identity to say that's who I want to play like. Here comes the trap.
Michigan cold right now against this Hawkeye defense. They have missed 6 straight shots.
Zone defense. Iowa started out man-to-man, but since they've gone to zone, Michigan hasn't been able to get it inside at all.
Rice has been their best offensive player. Lorenzen fronts him. They can't drop it into the middle. Iowa forcing Michigan to stay out at the perimeter. Now Rice had to come out to touch the ball. Now he tries to get inside. He and Hughes exchange, both on the same side. Jobert looking for an open big man.
Down to 4 seconds. Got to put it up.
Three-pointer by Jobert. Great Hawkeye defense. But Hughes came inside with an aggressive tap and drew the foul. He'll come to the free throw line. That was a strong move by the 6'8" sophomore Mark Hughes.
In the zone, sometimes it's difficult to get a block-out assignment. And what happened to Lorenzen that time is in his area of the floor, he thought he had a body on a man, and Hughes came in right behind him on the blind side. Much easier to block out man-to-man.
Occupying the middle several seasons with the Wolverines, and they have missed his firepower and his strength inside. That ends an 8-0 run by the Hawkeyes.
Use it all.
Armstrong's quick pass down the floor to Moe. Knocked away, and Moe retrieves it. Play is reset. Tried to get it inside and was knocked away that time by Rice.
Now, Brett, there's the difference. Lorenzen not that type of outside shooter. Therefore, the passing lane not there because his man Jobert was able to play off him. A lot different when Lojas has the ball at the top of the key.
Offensive foul. Wright was backing into Hughes. That's his first.
This game is very closely called on touch fouls.
But they have been consistent.
They have been
the
consistent.
athletes know what to expect, provided the officials don't change that. Timeout is called. Hughes having difficulty with the pressure back there. So we'll have a stoppage in play, and we'll be right back. Billy, what's important here with this zone?
Well, watch it. Here's the man in the zone, okay? One man has nobody to block out. Al Lorenzen gets caught with two, and here's the case where Hughes came right behind him with no block out to go ahead and make the tap in. We'll see the shot going up by Jobert. There's Lorenzen blocking out Rice, but nobody to block out Hughes. Comes right in behind him, puts the ball back up on the glass, gets fouled.
Well, one of the key numbers developing here is the fact that Grant, who's been averaging 23 points a game, has been held to 2. He is 1 of 4. So the Wolverines are having difficulty getting him into the scoring column. He comes down, has to give it up over to the side to Jobert.
Great
That was blocked by Marble. And the troubles continue for the scoring leader for Michigan. Marble giving it inside. Horton couldn't bury the field goal. Quickly to Thompson. Here is Rice, Michigan's leading scorer this afternoon. He has 12 of their 25 points. We're deadlocked at 25.
Well, Glenn Rice beat out Roy Marble for Michigan's Basketball Player of the Year. You can see they're two extremely talented players. Nice
Lojas
feed.
on a turnaround, and he was fouled.
Nice feed by Horton.
So we are at the Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Big Ten game between the Wolverines and the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Hawkeyes, the second-ranked team in the nation. They are in a three-way tie for first in the Big Ten. The foul was on Rice of Michigan. Lojas, the 7-foot center for the Hawkeyes, moves to the free throw line.
Shooting 68% from the line is a nice-looking stroke.
Michigan looking for some other scores to join Rice. Ball batted out of bounds by Iowa. Rice 6 of 9 from the field here in the first half.
But Lojas really covers a lot of ground in there defensively. Got the long arms. What I think Grant's got to do, Grant, he's got to start dribbling against the zone a little bit. Just go ahead and penetrate with the dribble.
Three-pointer by Thompson is good. That's his second three-pointer of the game. Michigan will need the three-pointer. Lojas missing with one. And the Wolverines come down quickly with Grant leading a 3-on-1. Here is Thompson.
Nice play.
Beautiful shot by Thompson using the glass.
And you know what Grant did so well? Instead of charging, he pulled up and faded to the side. That's what made that play.
Michigan's best spurt since the opening moments. See what they can do defensively. They get another turnover that helped them carve out an early 10-point lead. That is 9 Hawkeye turnovers. And Davis will go back to the Iowa bench here in a moment.
Good job by guard Thompson, pulling it up and slowing this game down a little bit. They do not want to get in a run-shoot game.
Rice. That's another one. That's 14 points for Rice.
Nice comeback by Michigan. This is quite a league, the Big Ten this year. You know what, Brent? So many quality players.
Wolverines on a 9-0 run. Horton can't stop it. Lohas does with the tap.
And then he's right there to go ahead and start the presser defense.
And it works. They force a turnover, but they travel.
Oh.
They give it right back. That is the 10th Iowa turnover. Davis unhappy with that call. He thought there was a foul. Let's take a look at this.
Well, Lohas right there to go ahead and deflect the pass. Marble gets it. They called him for walking there. I don't know about that call. I don't think he was walking in the first place before he released the ball. That's going to be a charge.
On the charge, it goes right back to the Hawkeyes. That's the second personal on Grant.
Now on that play, Brent, once you catch the ball, you are then the dribbler. You then do not get the opportunity to have the one step. So the defender is right there waiting on him. Jones did a good job.
This Michigan team will lull you to sleep, won't they? Just when you think they're about ready to fade, they come back with a burst like this.
And without Gary Grant getting all the points.
Stop. Here's Marble. That's goaltending. Hughes went over, scored the field goal.
Well, Hughes showed some athletic ability there, but not a wise play. When you're right under the basket, no sense doing this. He should have gone over, put a body on Horton, and gotten ready for the rebound.
Wright returning. Well, I think I said Hughes. That is Vaught who is checked in, handling the ball. He had replaced him, so that goaltending call was on Vaught, 35. Let me make that correction of a mistake I made.
Surrounding the zone with the 3 guards. Jobert being one.
Three-pointer. Oh, yes. 3 of them he's buried. That's 11 points for Thompson. So he's picking up the slack with Grant not doing much offensively.
You think Tom Davis will get out of that zone if they keep hitting the jumper? He started out man-to-man.
Jones on the drive. Can't get it to fall, but Iowa controlling the offensive glass. They're a little bit more talented inside than this Michigan team this year.
Well, when they bring Wright in the game, it really gives them the size.
Quick whip pass knocked out of bounds. Wright getting a hand on it, away from Vaught. Michigan leading by 4 points, 35-31. We have 5:20 to go, and Mike Griffin, number 20, returns for the Wolverines, and Grant will sit down.
Well, Brent, out there, the shortest player for Iowa is Marble at 6'5". So that is really a tall ball club.
He has Wright out there, Lorenzen, Marble, Gamble, and Jones. That's the Hawkeye contingent up against Griffin, Thompson, Jobert, Rice, and Vaught for Michigan. Three-pointer out, Lorenzen rebounds for the Hawks. Jones. Griffin doing some good work defensively on him. Frieder wanted traveling call.
Jones a pretty good ball handler, but more set for a second guard position and being the point.
Wright was looking to get it inside. Now he comes in himself, and Lorenzen gives it to him. He sends it back, but he traveled first. He was not set, and he lost his balance as he took that pass and turned it back over. And here in the first half, that's 11 turnovers against Davis Hawkeye team.
Well, they're going to turn the ball over because of the way they play. That's not really that big a problem, but they have made some passes that really weren't very well calculated when they threw them. You make some physical mistakes, but you don't want to make those mental turnovers.
That constant pressure being applied by the defense. Here they are waiting for him again at the midcourt line. Not allowing Grant to penetrate and get inside. And they drop back into that zone. And they use 9 men shuttling them in and out. It was a brief break for Grant, wasn't it? That's how important he is to Frieder's team.
They're being patient here, making the zone work a little bit. problem going up against this zone. They have such good team size, it's hard to get an opening.
Three-pointer by Jobert is no good, and as Marble goes up, he commits the personal foul.
Nice
Moved
job
his
by
body
Vaught.
into Vaught. That's the first personal on Marble, who has scored 7 points here in the first half.
Very unusual. Last year, Michigan sat 3 fellas out, redshirted, Vaught being one of them. It all gave him that valuable experience. Of course, they lost those 4 outstanding seniors, all of which were drafted by the NBA. Led by Roy Tarpley, who was a #1 pick.
Here's Rice. What a nice touch he has. 16 points in the first half.
You've got to be his size to get it over one of these fellas playing the zone.
Iowa hit those 7 field goals in a row. Now they have gone just 3 of 10 as the Wolverines come back with a little more aggression on defense.
Michigan switching on defense.
Not as easy for the Hawkeyes to get it inside as it was during that spurt. So Lorenzen takes one from the left baseline and buries it.
Boy, it's tough to press this guy. See, tough.
He drew the personal foul on Lorenzen.
Is that Lorenzen or Jones?
I think it was Jones. Let me get that confirmed. It is Jones, his second personal.
And the revolving door continues. Jones sits down, Armstrong in.
Does Davis keep track, or is this his assistants over here alongside?
No, I think that's a feel that he has for the game. You know, it's very difficult. You know, some coaches just don't believe in substitution patterns. It's something that Tom has done for a long time, and I think it's just a feel he has for the game.
Loves to teach.
Oh, he is a great teacher. Dr. Tom. You know, his doctor, I'll tell you what his doctorate was in when we come back, Brent. Very strange.
All right, we'll take a break. 3:19 to go, first half. The college basketball report coming your way at halftime. Jim Nance standing by in Landover. Jim, what have you got planned?
Well, Brent, coming up from our Landover location on the College Basketball Report, we'll have late news in on #1 North Carolina. We'll also tell you about the troubled race for a prize recruit out on the West Coast. His name is Sean Higgins. And we'll meet the marquee man in the Big East, Reggie Williams of Georgetown. All that coming up at halftime on the College Basketball Report. Let's go back to Brent and Billy.
All right, and the reason why Jim is in Landover, the second game of our doubleheader today, will match the Hoyas of Georgetown against the Syracuse Orangemen. Iowa taking the ball out of bounds, trailing Michigan by 6. We have 3 minutes and 15 seconds to go here in the first half.
Try to get the lob to Marble.
Offensive foul.
Has a set play coming out of the timeout. Try to get Marble on the backdoor lob, and it just wasn't there.
Lorenzen muscling his way in. His second personal. Vaught taking the ball out of bounds for free.
There's a long one.
Rice has got an open man. They give it back to Grant in the middle. And gets the roll. That's 6 points for Grant. 2 field goals and a pair of free throws. 41-33.
Grant's incredible quickness allows him to come to those jump stops instead of charging in. Boy, Mo is playing down inside and giving guard Thompson a workover.
They've turned it over. That's Marble's second foul and 2 consecutive trips. Offensive fouls called on the Hawkeyes.
And both of those charges were drawn by Griffin, doing a good job coming in there.
The shuttling in and out of players continues for the Hawkeyes. Gamble returns. Horton is there. Mo, Armstrong, and Lojas.
This is the best pressing team, in my opinion, they put on the floor because Lojas and Mo really work well together in the press.
Michigan with a 41-33 lead. 2 minutes and 33 seconds to go. Michigan and Indiana had a great game.
Hey,
Griffin hits one. Mo comes off the fake. Lojas with an offensive rebound, and he is fouled. He'll come up to the free throw line. That's 3 personals on Vaught.
Well, Bill Frieder probably going to take him out and put Hughes in the game. You don't want to pick up the 4th. They'd like to shuttle those 2 guys back together right now. Here it is. Here comes Hughes into the game. Bill Frieder thinking down there. Brent, I was telling you about Dr. Tom's dissertation. It was on athletics in colonial America, Massachusetts, and Virginia. Huh? You like to read that one? I think Tom heard that. He looked over here and gave me the eye.
He's not thinking about Virginia right now, folks. He's thinking about Midwestern Michigan.
I wonder what kind of basketball they played there in those days.
After our basketball doubleheader, we've got golf coming your way. The AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. Always fun to see those celebrities. Jack Lemmon, Clint Eastwood. That's after the Syracuse-Georgetown game. Here it's 43-35, Michigan. Rice moving over to the left side on this trip. He seems more comfortable shooting over here on the right. Grant
hit the arm.
Thompson gets it back.
Thompson backed up behind that three-point line.
He would have taken it, except that Horton was right there on him.
You know what's so tough, Brent? You can't get the cross-court skip passes against this zone because the team's got such good team size. You have a guy like Gamble playing up on the top. It's hard to swing the ball cross-court. Smart move to hold it here a little bit. There goes across court.
Whip to Thompson, three-point.
That was the cross-court skip pass. That's very tough to do, but they got away with it.
Michigan's biggest lead, 14 points by Thompson, and his three-point shots have been a key factor in building this lead over Iowa. And the Hawks get inside with Gamble. They get the ball down on the baseline. They threw the weak side defense, and that created an opening.
Grant's doing a much better job now, taking his time in the offense.
Thompson's three-pointer will rattle out that time, and Lohas.
Brent, that wasn't a good idea to take that. They were at 48 seconds. They could have held it down there almost for the last shot, which would have protected their lead.
And Armstrong makes them pay for it.
They should not shoot one here until they get the last shot of the half.
Grant, realizing that, pulls it out and slows the tempo down.
He has to watch 5-second count. Mo's on him.
Now Michigan will take a lead into the locker room here at the intermission.
I was man-to-man, so look at Grant try to take Mo when it gets down in time. He should have...
Rice off with the shot. Horton running it down. Intercepted by Grant at the buzzer. A home run shot at the buzzer. One official signaling it's three.
It's good. Yeah, it's good. The mistake was made by Horton trying to get that ball out of there.
So on the interception, let's take another look at it. Up he comes. And the only question was, when did the buzzer go off? But there was plenty of time. Watch as the clock comes down. And here's Grant making the steal. That's close to a three-pointer in NBA range, no doubt about it when he released it. We'll return to Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, Michigan after this message and a word from your local stations.
It's halftime, and Michigan is upsetting number 2 Iowa. 10 points up on the Hawkeyes right now at the intermission. We're at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland, where later today you'll see the Big East battle between Georgetown and Syracuse. Hello once again, everyone. Jim Nantz with you on the College Basketball Report. Late breaking news concerning number 1 North Carolina, and it's not good news for the Tar Heels. Their All-America point guard Kenny Smith injured a cartilage fragment in practice yesterday, underwent arthroscopic surgery on his left knee this morning in Chapel Hill. However, doctors are saying that Kenny Smith could be back in 2 weeks from this operation, which of course would give him time to recuperate and heal and get ready for the tournament in March. Kenny Smith undergoing arthroscopic surgery this morning. Now, another hot story this week concerns one of the prize recruits, one of the top high school players in the country, 6'8" Sean Higgins out of Los Angeles, who officially committed to UCLA, but now may have other ideas.
The last minute phone calls and everybody saying come here and come there, and I was saying, well.
Already Already a two-time high school player of the year in California, Higgins made Walt Hazzard's Day, November the 18th, by signing early with UCLA.
When his mother called this morning and said, I have a signed letter of intent, and I would like to deliver it to you, I jumped out of my house and ran to my car and got out here in a hurry.
The big news is the Pac-10 is now investigating because Higgins has had a change of heart, wants out of his commitment, and word has it that he could be headed to the University of Michigan to be close to his father in Detroit.
I just know what I've read, and I've never heard the NCAA or anybody, let anybody out of a letter. So I don't know anything about that.
You don't know what the current situation is with Sean?
No, just what I read.
One other guy who won't be next year where he thought he would be is Rice coach Tommy Suits, who was fired yesterday and replaced on an interim basis by Greg Walkovich. Now, race one in the America's Cup final was held this morning in Fremantle, Australia, and it goes to Stars and Stripes of the United States. Dennis Conner skippering the Americans to a 1-minute 41-second victory over Kookaburra 3, but not much time to celebrate for the Americans because the second race will be held later on tonight, midnight Eastern time in the United States. Now, this is the time of the year for the annual Pebble Beach Clam Bake, the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am. Always one of the most scenic stops on the Pro Tour. Also, what's nice about things out there on the Monterey Peninsula, you get a chance to see the celebrities hit it. This one by Johnny Bench, you might say, was a foul ball out of play down the left field line. Good leaderboard. This is third round scores in action right now. You see Payne Stewart has come out of a logjam. There was a four-way tie just moments ago. A birdie by Stewart has him in front of three others. Now we'll have live golf coverage after basketball at 5 o'clock Eastern time today right here on CBS. And we'll come back and look at the hero of the Georgetown Hoyas, Red Hot Reggie Williams, as we continue to hold court on the College Basketball Report. Welcome back to the College Basketball Report. You know, some are saying that this season marks the end of a star era in the Big East, an era that included the likes of Patrick Ewing, Chris Mullin, Pearl Washington, and finally Reggie Williams of Georgetown. All of these players helped build the Big East into one of the nation's finest. Well, as James Brown reports, Williams of Georgetown in his final season is getting the recognition that was long overdue.
Here at Georgetown University, basketball fans are crazy about their Hoyas. What is a Hoya, you might ask? Well, it's derived from Hoya Saxa, a combination of Greek and Latin, which means what rocks. And in the 4 years since he signed to play here, Reggie Williams has developed into Georgetown's Rock of Gibraltar. One example was last Sunday when John Thompson's team trailed undefeated DePaul in the waning moments. Thompson got Williams the ball, and number 34 buried a three-pointer for the win, to the surprise of neither Hoya fans nor Reggie Williams.
I look for that responsibility from Coach Thompson and the players. I want them to look for me, when the game is going to the end. I felt comfortable with the ball at that time.
He certainly had the ball in his hands at Baltimore's Dunbar High, where his team was ranked number 1 nationally. And then in his freshman year at Georgetown, where his efforts earned him Player of the Game honors in the Hoyas' win over Houston for the national title. But unfortunately, it was his post-game interview which drew the most attention.
Well, I felt comfortable making the choice to Georgetown, and along with Patrick Ewing. We struggled. We didn't struggle, but we had a.
Jimmy Tupper.
Can you?
Okay, take it easy, Reg.
I was a little scared. Billy Packer hit me with that question, and I just stood there, with glaze, and I was scared.
But in subsequent seasons, it's been Georgetown opponents who've been scared of a more experienced Williams.
I think that Reggie has matured and he's developed, and he understands that he's a leader. When he was a freshman, he was expected to keep quiet. He couldn't lead something that he was unfamiliar with. He's familiar with how I want things done. He's familiar with how the institution runs. And as a teacher, that's very important to have players who can explain or give indications to other players what you want, and he's done that very well.
Actually, he's done many things very well, and the people who count are noticing his 24 points and 10 rebounds per game.
This is a draft of David Robinson and some very good players, of which Reggie Williams is one of the few. So I think Reggie is potentially a top 10 NBA draft choice, and I think eventually he can make a contribution to whatever team is fortunate enough to draft him.
And as far as his lack of bulk, Reggie points to some pretty solid role models with similar physiques.
Michael Jordan is slim, Julius Erving is slim. Those guys made it, so I think I can, deal with it too.
By the way, don't let that slender build of Reggie Williams fool you. He can get physical. In fact, this week he did something that Patrick Ewing never did in his entire career at Georgetown. He grabbed 18 rebounds in one game. You'll see Reggie Williams and the Hoyas take on Syracuse in the second game of our doubleheader. But right now, plenty of action to go in Ann Arbor. Michigan upsetting Iowa 49-39. We'll rejoin Brett and Billy for the second half after this message and a word from your local station.
More alumni than any other college organization, the Big Ten Conference's 91-year history of academic and athletic success makes its member universities among the nation's most respected. Big Ten men's basketball, the nation's top collegiate attraction, has drawn more than 1.6 million people every year since 1979. The Big Ten was also one of the first conferences to integrate women's programs. These achievements are just some of the reasons why the Big Ten is known as America's premier conference.
CBS Sports presents college basketball. Today's game is sponsored by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevrolet. Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies. Iowa was favored by 3, and they trail by 10 at the half. And, Billy, I was very impressed the way the Wolverines came back that second time.
I really was. I thought the game got away from them. They went to Iowa's tempo, but then they pulled it back. Gary Grant did a good job. Antoine Jobert understanding what was necessary, and Guard Thompson's outside shooting was terrific.
Here are some of the key statistics from that first half. Certainly turnovers. Iowa averages about 15 a game. They had 14 in the first half. More importantly, this is what Michigan did with those turnovers. They scored 16 points. Now, the three-point play is going to be a factor if Michigan wants to stay in this. They hit 5 of 13, 4 of them by Guard Thompson. Iowa, Billy, was only 1 of 4 from that mark.
Right, and that's the difference of obviously plus 12 points. So you've got an opportunity there to see what Guard Thompson and the outside shooting against the zone has really done.
Now, the leading scorers gambled for Iowa. Their number 2 guard with 10 points, and Rice, 16 points for Michigan. Michigan fall as we start the second half, 49-39. The Wolverines leading the Hawkeyes, who come in here with only 1 defeat in 20 games, and Bill Frieder's team doing a fine job here so far. Dr. Tom Davis, his first year at Iowa, shuttling 9 players in and out. The All-American candidates for this year would include this list, and down at the bottom, Kenny Smith, you heard that report at halftime, arthroscopic knee surgery. He will be out a couple of weeks, and boy, that's another blow for the Tar Heels.
Well, it might be a blessing in disguise in a way, Brent. It happened early in the year, I mean, midway through the year now. Gives Dean Smith an opportunity to see what he can do with Jeff Lebo handling the point. Kenny Smith will probably be back. What's unusual is he had that knee injury, missed a game, and then came back and scored 41 against Clemson. And I guess it tightened up again this past couple of days. Nice ball movement. Set play.
Iowa comes right back down. They get the ball inside to Marble. And Marble with only 2 field goals in that first half. Total of 9 points. He took only a pair of shots, so he contributes immediately here as we start the second half.
And the importance of the three-point play. You see Iowa starting out man-to-man. Had a hard time with this man right here, Guard Thompson.
Jobert with a 2-pointer rattling out. Armstrong, the point guard, rebounding for the Hawkeyes. Has to give it to Lohas, the 7-footer who dumps inside to Horton. Hits the field goal, and he'll come up with an opportunity for a 3-pointer. Horton getting the ball down in at the glass, hit the field goal, and then added the free throw, coming up to the line.
Well, this man has got a lot of body. Knows how to use it well. Outstanding player coming out of high school. You see the wide body guys becoming a big factor in college basketball now. You mentioned North Carolina with J.R. Reed. This takes up so much room in there. He's got a little bit more quickness than a Horton. It looks like a new style postman coming into college basketball.
Grant bringing it down to the attack. This is their leading scorer, Rice. Hughes down in low, being guarded by Horton. Thompson pulls pulls up and takes the jump shot.
Man-to-man's throwing Michigan off here to start the second half.
With a wraparound pass, ball loose on the ground. Iowa gets it. Rojas. Rice rebounding for the Wolverines. 6 rebounds for Rice. Gobert avoids the three-pointer.
Thompson is not shy. He needs to slow down just a hair.
Armstrong for the baseline. And an offensive rebound and another field goal by Marble. So he scores as many field goals here to start the second half as he did the entire first half.
But Michigan putting the ball up much too quickly. They had a better pace to their ball game at the second part of the first half.
Here's Grant.
Whited.
Rojas rebound. In the hands of Armstrong. It's past Gobert, but Thompson comes over defensively, and there's Rojas.
Michigan's got to go timeout here.
It was a 10-point lead at the intermission, and suddenly it is down to 3. We've got a timeout. Bill Frieder will regroup the Wolverines. It's a 9-0 run. We'll be right back. Well, the pace changing again here in this game. Iowa starting out 4 of 6 as we begin the second half, and Michigan only 1 of 5. It has been a game of streaks so far, Billy.
It has. Brent, if I were Michigan, I wouldn't have called the timeout down under the basket like this. I would have got it up at half-court area, because this allows Iowa to come right out and be in a perfect position to press you. No factor anyway, but a thought.
Thompson gets it up on Jones, who has checked in.
Iowa stays man-to-man. They were in that zone in the first half. Big adjustment by Tom Davis coming out, playing man-to-man. Has thrown Michigan off stride.
Rojas keeping Rice outside. Now watch Rice come in low. Good maneuver by Grant. It's 11 points. And the Generals into it now. Here's Wright, who is off Davis's bench.
Mo is getting position on guard Thompson inside. He's such an active player.
The turnover. Hughes gives it to Rice. That's turnover number 15 already by the Hawks. Grant again, short this time. Hawks control a rebound. Mo bringing it inside and giving it to Wright. Except for that hand injury, he would have been a starter on this Iowa team. There's no doubt about it. He pulls the Hawks back to within 3. He has scored 6 points.
Well, last year he set a new Iowa Hawkeye record for field goal percentage. Really a quality talent.
This 5 on the floor right now, if Grant hits the field goal, I think maybe Davis is best all-around 5 and just watching of his athletes. Marble, Wright, and Rojas up front. Offensive foul is the call.
Now, Jones has a hard time playing at point, particularly against a player as quick as Gary Grant.
And Lorenzen returns. Jones sits down. That means that Armstrong also checks back in for Davis. Now it is Wright, Gamble, Brinson, Armstrong, and Mo. And Mo is called for that personal foul. That's his first.
No, Mo is an extremely aggressive player. Great to have a guy like that to be able to come off the bench. He has been a part-time starter at Iowa, but he comes out and just explodes both offensively and defensively.
Glenn Rice.
Nice-looking jump shot.
Oh, he's a good-looking shooter. That's 20 points, Billy. Armstrong penetrates. Rice with a hand on it. Here's 2-on-1 Michigan. Grant gives it to Thompson for the layup. Good play by Grant. He pulled the defense toward him. Very patient. Hawks come right back. Gamble gets inside.
Oh, it doesn't go.
Knocked away from Rice, and Wright fouled him.
Boy, that ball just hung on that rim.
2 personals on Wright, who sits down. Alongside him, Mo. So still another lineup is shuttled in by the Hawkeyes.
Well, Brent, this club came back from 22 down to beat Illinois at Illinois, so they're used to this pace, the flow back and forth. For Michigan, you wonder how many times they can handle that move by Iowa and then still pick back up and get in the lead.
Stolen. And Thompson reaches in and fouls Lorenzen. You know, near the conclusion of this game, Billy and I will select a Chevrolet MVP from each team, and Chevrolet will donate a $1,000 scholarship to the general scholarship fund of each school.
Griffin back in the ball game, did a good job in the first half, giving Jobert just a little rest.
Iowa trailing it by 9, 59-50. Armstrong on the penetration. Now that pressure stolen by Jones, and he stepped out of bounds as he whipped that pass back.
Well, Brent, if you're Michigan, you don't want to throw the ball down that deep. You'd like to get the ball inbounds up at least by the foul line extended. To get it down in that corner really plays into Iowa's hands. Armstrong not wanting to come out. He felt he had a nice run going there.
Billy, if you're playing man-to-man against Iowa, it must be so difficult with that constant shuttling in and out of players, the matchups that you've got. There's the long pass to Jobert.
Oh, he got a break.
He sure did. That's 7 points by Antoine Jobert.
Gamble tried that steal from behind.
15 minutes to go.
That Jobert-Marble matchup is something, boy. They had two bodies in there smacking each other.
Jobert's body not as big as it was a year ago. He has lost 15 pounds and kept it off.
A little out-of-bounds screen. Iowa runs it down well. That's a goaltend. That's a goaltend.
Shot was blocked.
They missed one there. Rice right underneath the basket picked it off. See it coming up. He picked that one off.
61-52. Michigan leading. And the foul called as Thompson dove back in. Horton was battling him, and it's going to go against Horton. That's his first. Davis seizes the opportunity to return the ball and to have a couple of words there with the official.
Iowa has problems at that point with Jones back there. He just doesn't handle it that well.
Quickly to Jobert. Jones there with him as Jobert traveled. That's 7 turnovers by the Wolverines.
Pretty good move, though, by Michigan to attack that pressing defense by sending Jobert along.
Billy, is it ragged or good defense right now?
Well, I think Jones is the guy that's really not that sharp at the point.
Horton with a strong move. A little one-on-one move. Took it to the hole. It's 61-54. Now, Glenn Rice is 10 of 14 from the field in this game for Michigan. He doesn't touch it. The three-pointer's good. That's the reason why. That's 19 by guard Thompson.
Not only is he making the three-pointers, he's shooting the ball right off the catch without having to set himself up. That's why he's getting the shot off so quickly. 7 in a row for Michigan over Iowa. They certainly have had their number up to this point.
Jones in low. Offensive foul. And the Iowa bench is furious.
A lot of time left. 14 minutes. You know Iowa's going to make another run or two.
And the fourth personal. Bill Jones will sit down and Armstrong back in.
Now you can run on the end. In this particular case, you can't run on the end line. Normally you can run on the end line after a score, so that makes it tough against the press.
Thompson continues to blaze away. 21 points.
Man-to-man by Michigan. Super crowd action here, too. Starting to really support this club.
Lojas.
That's a goaltend.
Score it. Goaltending on Hughes. And Davis is furious. He calls a timeout. He's very upset with the officiating. What excitement this Iowa Hawkeye team is creating around the state. And there on the left is Jim Zabel. He has been the sports director at WHO in Des Moines for the last 38 years. Do you know who he succeeded as one of the voices of the Hawkeyes at WHO? That's right, President Ronald Reagan.
Looks just as good then as he does today.
Doesn't he, though? And there's Jim Zabel, who does such a good job doing the play-by-play for these Iowa Hawkeyes. Boy, you talk about loyalty throughout a state for a team. Tom Davis was talking about it. He said, I don't know what to do when I walk out there and get that applause from the crowd when I go into restaurants and everybody recognizes me. But they got one of the best coaches in the country in Tom Davis. Let me tell you, he understands this game as well as anybody. Now, Bill Frieder, who has done a good job with this Michigan team, has his Wolverines ahead, 66-56.
And again, the three-point play has been the answer for Michigan in two ways. Not only in the fact that they're scoring, but it's taken Iowa out of their favorite defense, which is the zone.
And for Rice, that's 22 points.
Glenn Rice was a sub last year, but he's going to be a superstar as time moves on.
Had to give it up. Wise decision on Marvel's part, and Wright scored. He has 8 points. You were speaking about the three-pointer, Billy. Michigan is 6 of 15, and Thompson has 5 of the 6.
It really does alter the game, and the fact that you can't pack that zone back in there.
Grant has to give it up against this defense. Gamble puts it down. He hits Marvel. Marvel goes for the layup.
You know, Gamble doesn't look like a guy that can handle the ball that well, but he really does a good job. Almost could play the guard spot.
Grant, so far in this game, has dished out 10 assists for the Wolverines. His career high is 12.
Jobert, the all-time assist leader at Michigan, but Grant probably beat that if he stays around here.
Thompson, and it's Iowa's possession. They trail it by 8. Great move by Armstrong, the follow by Lojas, and it won't go down. Outlet, Jobert is open at the other end. Drew the foul from Armstrong. He'll shoot a pair.
Boy, that was what you would call a 4-point turnaround. Iowa had an easy one, 2 opportunities for an easy one. Michigan comes back with a chance to get their own. There's the tap by Lojas, doesn't make it. Good look all the way down court. Jobert's got it. About all that Armstrong could do was go ahead and foul and make sure he didn't get the 3.
Billy, Iowa with 16 fouls in the second half, and Michigan with only 2.
And both playing man-to-man. Gary Grant not in any foul trouble. He's the key situation for Michigan because they cannot afford to play without him, particularly against this press. Well, it won't be a 4-point turnaround, but could be.
Jobert has not shot well here this afternoon. He's only 3 of 9 in the field. 1 of 2 on that trip to the line. 8 points. It's a 9-point Michigan lead. 11:45 to go. Armstrong, Wright, Lojas, along with Moe and Gamble on the floor for the Hawks.
Now look at Lojas trying to feed inside, but the ball comes back out to him.
Lojas getting in low to the baseline against the double team. Defense forces a turnover.
That's Jobert. He's got quick hands. Guard Thompson did a wise thing. Jobert won the ball all the way down court. Thompson slows it down a little bit.
Here's Rice, top of the circle.
Got the range.
That's 24 points by Glenn Rice. He's smooth as silk. Michigan keeping the ball outside at the perimeter. And when they tried, it was Grant, but the Hawks get it right back, and it's Gamble. It falls. He drew the foul. Great play. Jobert fouled him, his second.
Well, Brent, we talked about a 4-point turnaround. There was a case where Michigan had the advantage on a break going their way. Turn it over. Good job by Gamble. Very underrated ball player. The more you watch him, the more you like him.
That was another one of the moves that Davis made with this Iowa team. Kevin Gamble became a guard permanently. He had been a swingman last year. He's 6'6", a junior.
JC transfer. played 8 minutes a game last year.
Marble returning. And Gamble sits down. Rice in the second half is 4 of 4. So he just picks up where he left off at the intermission. He has been spectacular here this afternoon.
That almost could have been a turnover, Vaught giving that ball to Thompson.
Thompson's three-pointer rattles out. And Horton gives it to Lorenzen. So Horton, Lorenzen, and Armstrong, Marble, and Moe on the floor now for the Hawks.
Notice how Lorenzen is not the passer Lojas is in this offense.
Half front Lorenzen down low. That's a bit of a mismatch with Thompson on him down there. Horton couldn't get it to fall. Rice outlet to Thompson. That's 8 rebounds of Rice's. Three-pointer by Thompson out there.
I think he's starting to wear down a little bit. He's been out. I don't believe Thompson's been out of the game. Sometimes your legs start to go on you. You're not as good with that jumper.
Short. Thompson had a hand on it and wound up in Lorenzen's possession. And here's a three-point opportunity for Lorenzen and the Hawkeyes. So we're at the Chrysler Arena, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Along with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. A possible upset in the works here with the Hawkeyes at 19-1, trailing Michigan 71-65. But a lot of time to go in this one. 9:33.
Brent, I think a very wise substitution by Bill Frieder. With the lead, he takes guard Thompson out. I think he sensed also that Thompson was starting to wear down a little bit. Give him a little blow here, a couple of minutes, because you want that good shooter in the game going down the wire.
Griffin.
Nice rebound by Rice. He's doing a job off the boards, too.
He really is. He's 10 rebounds already.
Another one.
And he runs down his 11th rebound. Couldn't quite save it. Stolen by Griffin. This will be easy for Rice. That's 26 points, 10 rebounds. He's having a monster here this afternoon.
That's a charge.
That's Marble's third personal. In case you just joined us, here are the high points so far this game. Iowa has committed 23 turnovers. They average about 15 a game, and Michigan has burned them for 24 points off the turnovers. Michigan has hit 6 3-point field goals. Guard Thompson has led the way, but Rice has been the standout individual in this game. 26 points and 10 rebounds.
You know, you watch this Michigan team, you think, what would they be with Ramil Robinson? Huh? Would they be something? Gives him another guard to play with.
Well,
Terry Mills in the front.
Family. Janice, his wife there on the left, and Laura, his daughter, snuggling up to Mama, enjoying this game over here. 8:42 to go, and Dad's team's ahead, 74-65.
You know what's unusual about that couple? Bill Frieder, the coach, is really a non-athlete. His wife, the mother, is the great athlete, triathlete.
65-65. It swells to 10 again. 8:30 to go here in Ann Arbor. Personal called in away from the ball. He is pointing at Marble.
Well, I think it's going to be on Jobert trying to hold up Marble coming across the lane.
That's exactly what it is. His third personal, Billy.
Officials. Now, Tom Davis has to get credit for that call. He's really been on the officials about action away from the ball. He has to like that one.
Jones playing with 4 personals. And Griffin jumped out to steal it, and he fouled Wright.
Griffin has really given Bill Frieder some excellent minutes here off the bench today. You know, one of the things helped this Iowa team in their adjustment to Tom Davis, the fact that they went to the Far East this summer and had 2-a-day workouts while they're in their trip over there. So he got a lot of coaching and teaching done to blend this team in.
That's 6 team fouls against the Wolverines. Iowa has exceeded the limit. They ship it inside to Wright.
Well, Wright's coming in to
fall.
He is powerful. He's just taking Griffin on in there, knocking him out of the way. And Guard Thompson was lucky because he came up after the shot went up and hit him right in the jaw.
Well, Billy, taking an overview, what must the Hawkeyes do strategically to get back in this?
Well, I don't think they're going to change anything at all as to what they're doing. They'd like to have the lead so they could go back in that zone. They're just going to have to keep that press going and hoping that Michigan will wilt a little bit.
Should Davis stick with the same 5 down the stretch, or should he continue to rotate the way he has?
No, he's going to continue to rotate. A lot of time left in this game considering the way they play. 8 minutes. You know, they'll explode for another run. I think the key here, Brent, is not Iowa as much as can Michigan keep their mental poise and have enough physical stamina left to hang in this game.
Grant's three-pointer.
That helps you.
That's 18 points for Grant.
Three-point play has been the key to this game.
And coming right back with one on the other side is Gamble. That's 16 points for him, and Grant takes it all the way. Hawkeyes coming back. Another three-pointer. And Gamble bangs in one. 19 points now, and suddenly they have hit 3 of 7 from three-point range as Gamble hits 2 in a row.
That's a walk. Yes, it is.
It's down to 7. So we're going to return to Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor, Michigan, after this message and a word from your local station. CBS Sports presents college basketball. Today's game is sponsored by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. Well, we have 7:13 to go here, and Michigan leading Iowa by 7. Then we'll take you to Landover, Maryland. It'll be Syracuse against Georgetown. And after our NCAA basketball action today, out for the AT&T Pebble Beach National Pro-Am as the PGA Tour makes its season premiere on CBS. Nobody covers golf quite like Frank Cherkinian and his crew, and they'll be coming your way later this afternoon. Armstrong ships it to Lohas. In deep to Gamble. It's knocked away by Thompson, and the foul is called.
Again, on the timeout, Iowa sets up that lob cross court. Lohas with the 7-foot reach, able to throw that ball very well. And they can either have Gamble coming from the weak side or Marble from the weak side.
The foul situation. Jones, Griffin, and Thompson with 4. Hughes hands it off to Grant. Don't you love the way Grant plays basketball offensively and defensively?
They're going to be a little more patient, try to spread the court out a little bit in their offense.
Rice returned during that timeout. He's the leading scorer for the Wolverines. He has had a splendid afternoon.
It's a good move by Michigan here. Try to slow down his tempo a little bit.
Gilbert to the top of the circle. Here's Grant. Knocked away by Iowa. Michigan's ball. And Moe with Griffin both check in, so the coaches hit that bench right away. 6:25 mark. It has been a continuous substitution pattern by Davis. That's something he employs, his style as a coach. He got that from Dean Smith. Rice hits another one. That is 28 points.
And a great pass by Grant to fire it cross court.
Lohas, a little hard off the glass. Michigan. Rice is on Gilbert's left. Gilbert goes in with the layup. And the personal call as he went into Armstrong.
Brent, when you've got a 4-on-1 break, you've got to give the ball up, and the man who has the ball last ought to stop at the foul line. No reason to try to take it down there. 4-on-1, draw the charge.
Especially with Rice breaking alongside you, and he's having such a great afternoon offensively. You want to get that ball in his hands, I would think, as much as you can now.
If you stop at the foul line, you make the defender commit to you instead of you committing to the defender. Then you can dish off either way. Big turnover there.
Lorenzen in. Lohas sits down. Now, Iowa has missed its last 4 free throws. They are 2 of 6 from the line in the second half, and BJ will see what he can do about that.
Not a real good free throw shooting team, shooting 68% as a team.
You know, thinking about Iowa, Billy, along with this fine basketball team, they got the greatest wrestling program in the country. They've won 9 straight national titles. Dan Gable, one of the fiercest competitors I've ever seen. I don't think anybody in the NCAA has ever won 10 straight titles in anything. He's going for it this year, so we want to wish Gable and that Hawkeye wrestling team the best of luck.
They're going to have their work cut out for them this year. It hasn't been a big regular season for them so far. Not compared to what they're used to, which is basically never losing.
Bringing it back out and slowing it down. Time remaining, lower right-hand corner of your screen.
Matter of fact, you know, I think Penn State's #1 in wrestling. Not bad football wrestling combination. I know they beat Iowa in a dual meet this year.
Gobert ships it inside to Grant.
Boy, Armstrong really forces that ball up the court. Just when you're ready to take a breather, here he comes. Nice job by Griffith on Marble. Looks like Marble ought to try to take you a little more offensively. Very patient, maybe a little bit too much so.
Hawkeyes staying at the perimeter. Loose on the turnover.
Let's see if he gets it up.
3-on-1. He does indeed. But the whistle had sounded as he came away.
Now Bill Frieder asking for a asking for a 2-shot intentional there. That wasn't the case.
That foul was on Horton. Number 25, his second, and Gobert will move up to the line. Now, Michigan with 2 great performers out there this afternoon, Billy. Rice, 28 points, his career high. And, of course, Grant. They lead at 82-73. Should they nurse it and bring the clock down now?
The 10-point lead, I think they just want to be a little bit more patient. Guard Thompson had that little rest. You've got an opportunity for Gary Grant to get a little blow here. He was actually down on his knees at half court while Gobert was shooting his first free throw. You got Guard Thompson sitting on the bench now. I think they ought to just be very patient.
I want to set this Iowa lineup that Davis has out there. Armstrong, Lorenzen, Horton is out there. Marble, that was Horton hitting the field goal along with Gamble. Now that's the 5 that Davis has elected to go with inside the 5-minute mark.
Excellent pick and roll on that last play. Horton set such a good screen for Armstrong, and Michigan had the switch on it.
Hawkeyes need to get a burst going. Jones will check in for the Hawks. It's Gobert and Grant along with Rice. Griffin is out there along with Hughes.
Remember the significance of this game. Indiana has already won on this court in Big Ten play. It was close. Steve Alford making a shot at the buzzer.
After Grant missed that free throw. That was a great moment. Bobby Knight did that little jig out here at midcourt. I've never seen him move his feet that quickly. Gobert to the corner. Griffin came out. Stolen by Marble. Gobert comes back with him defensively. Marble moves inside and missed the shot. But Lorenzen is fouled by Griffin. And that is the 5th foul on Griffin.
Well, that's not too bad because Guard Thompson was going to come in for him anyway. Griffin did an excellent job today, both offensively and defensively off the bench.
3 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Now the Hawkeye lineup again changes with Jones out there.
You would think down the stretch, Brendan, I'm trying to, adjust with Tom Davis here as to why he substitutes certain people. But you would think down the stretch they'd come back with Lohas and Armstrong for that final 2 minutes.
Well, just as you say that, I see Lojas move over here to the scorer's table.
He's down underneath us, yeah.
So he's going to come in for Lorenzen, obviously. We're going to have a stoppage in play. Lojas will check back in during that time, and we'll come back for the final 350. Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. That will be the focus next on CBS. It will be the Syracuse Orangemen along with their center, Ronnie Cycli, who has played very well this year for Coach Jim Boeheim. He'll lead Syracuse into that game against Reggie Williams and the Hoyas of Georgetown. When they talk about the players of the year, Reggie Williams is always mentioned near the top of the list. The Orangemen ranked 6th. They'll be taking on Georgetown. That's next. Here we have 3:50 to go, and along with Billy Packer, I'm Brett Musburger. We hope you are enjoying what has been so far a fine Big Ten contest out of the Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor.
See who's back in the game, B.J. Armstrong. There's the lineup that we anticipated. Great steal by Gamble.
Gamble has played a fine game, hasn't he, for the Hawks? Armstrong on the penetration, drew the foul, and couldn't get the ball to fall. They wanted the three-pointer, but he'll shoot a pair of free throws. Boy, Grant got back into this offense here for Michigan. He scored 11 points in the second half. Remember when we were talking about he had only 2 points in the game? That was about midway through the first half, and then he came alive down here. He has helped Michigan open up this 8-point lead.
But Brent, the only knock on Grant in his entire career here, or as a matter of fact in his basketball career coming out of high school, is the fact in the NCAA tournament he has disappeared 2 years in a row. Other than that, he has been a great, great player.
Iowa State knocked Michigan off last year.
That's right.
Johnny Orr got a little revenge against his former school.
And then Villanova the year before when Raleigh Massimino marched to that championship.
Hughes gets it into the hands of Grant against the double team. He passes to Jobert, the open man. Oh, how about that move by Horton?
Perfect timing. Anything less than perfect there is a foul. Horton is measuring his man. Great block.
I can't believe he didn't foul him. It was just as clean as could be. Textbook block by Horton.
A tough place to be with Lojas coming over for the double team.
Here's the hot man. He hasn't missed in the second half. He's 7 of 7 is Glenn Rice. 30 points for the afternoon. He keeps it up. It'll be impossible to catch him. Armstrong comes down the baseline.
You know who he's beaten on these drives? He's beaten Gary Grant, who's normally a great defensive player.
Into the hands of Rice.
And here they pull it out.
Now at the 3-minute mark, working that clock down. A 6-point lead, but the 3-point play means that Iowa is far from being out of this one.
Remember the hand checking early in the game? Trying to work it down inside 10, then go for the shot.
There was a whistle, and Armstrong reached in. That's Armstrong's second foul. Guard Thompson will move on up to that free throw line. He has scored 21 points here this afternoon.
How many on threes, Brent? He must have just about all those on 3 points.
He is their leading 3-point man.
Got 5 or 6 of them.
He is 5 of 10.
That's 15 of those points. Bill Frieder right now wants to make sure his team is rested. He has 2 timeouts left to call. Somewhere in this 2:42, we ought to take one just for rest purposes. I'd like to save that other one for the end.
It's an 8-point margin.
See if Grant can stop Armstrong's penetration.
Gamble's 3 is short.
Not a wise shot.
Thompson.
Been since 1968, Iowa has not come through the state of Michigan and beaten both Michigan State and Michigan. Looks like that streak has a chance to keep going. Helps to have the 3-guard offense now with Jobert, Grant, and guard Thompson.
as Jobert came around the corner, there was a foul before the shot. He was coming around Gamble. That's Gamble's first personal in the game. Inside of 2 minutes, and Gamble will sit down.
Jobert, a 65% free throw shooter, and for his bulk, he doesn't go to the foul line a lot. He's only been there so far this year 64 times. The guy like this should get there often.
Thinking of the three-pointers for Iowa, Jeff Moe has come in. He has the range. Jobert hits a free throw. Moe has taken 2 3-pointers here this afternoon and has missed both of them.
Well, they're going to have to utilize the three-point play to get back in it now. Time's a wasting, and you can see Michigan's going to hold the ball as best they can inside that 45-second shot clock, all the way down to, what, 4 or 5 seconds.
It's a 10-point Michigan lead inside of 2.
Armstrong getting the screen.
Came down inside the 3 to the baseline. They call the timeout. 13 points by Armstrong. It's an 8-point lead. Davis will attempt to rally the Hawks.
See the powers of the Big East when big man Ronnie Cycli leads Syracuse against the big play daring of Reggie Williams in Georgetown, their first meeting of the year, next on CBS Sports.
Back in the Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor with Michigan leading Iowa by 8. 1:49 to go. Timeout situation shows both teams with the pair, and this game critical as far as the Big Ten standings are concerned. Iowa, Indiana, and Purdue bunched at the top at 7 and 1. Illinois and Michigan are 5 and 3. The possession arrow, if there is a jump ball, it belongs to Iowa.
And here's Lohas. Lohas down there with that big wingspan. Marble kicked it, huh? Or are you going to call a foul?
They called a foul on Marble. He bodied him close to the baseline. That's the 4th personal on Marble.
You know, I think the best play to use, Brent, against this Iowa press is to step a man out of bounds and throw it cross court so that Lohas no longer becomes a factor. I think it's very difficult to throw the ball in against him. So just step a man across, throw the ball cross court, then get it inbounds.
Guard Thompson with a fine afternoon. 24 points, 6 assists. He is perfect from the free throw line. He is 3 of 3.
And you know, this is not the hottest game he's had from the three-point stripe. Earlier this year against University of Chicago, Illinois, he had himself an 8 for 9 from three-point range.
Right on the floor for the Hawks. Armstrong gets it into Marble's hands. Thompson bats it. Grant will run it down.
Nice job by guard Thompson setting the screen.
Another Michigan possession on a turnover.
Smart. The clock becomes Iowa's opponent now.
Armstrong reached in on Jobert. Marble was also out there. We began the day by telling you how tough life is on the road in the Big Ten. And the Hawkeyes are learning just that here this afternoon. Let me point out something about Iowa. Their traveling companion in the Big Ten is Minnesota. So when they came up in here, Minnesota on Thursday night played Michigan while Iowa was overplaying Michigan State. That works to Iowa's disadvantage because if Minnesota cannot press Michigan and force Bill Frieder to use his regulars for an entire game, then he has a rested team sitting here at home waiting for you. That'll work against Davis for the rest of the season as long as those two teams flip-flop opponents. In the Big Ten, it is critical who you travel with, how much they can take out of your next opponent when you go on the road.
Over the years, the rub of the green, huh? I remember the last time we were in here, it was a pretty good day for Bill Frieder. Michigan, Indiana, Big Ten championship on the line, and Michigan just pulverized Indiana that day.
We'll have them next week down in Bloomington, Michigan at Indiana. And this is the Wolverines' biggest lead. A minute to go. And a team not accustomed to the three-point shot this year will have to try to get back with it. Jobert fouled, and the Wolverines are going to wrap up an upset here at home.
Well, they beat Syracuse and knocked them from the ranks of the undefeated. Certainly a team for NCAA tournament.
We'll just turn this one over to our director, Bob Fishman, and let the crowd bring it on in, boys. This is a great moment for Bill Frieder. He's an underrated coach.
Mama likes it.
Campbell's three, and a quick timeout.
Now he wants to go right back out and play. He's not going to stop. He's going to send the club right back out on the floor.
But the officials say, let's take him over and huddle because Frieder wants to talk to his team. All right, our Chevrolet MVPs of this game for Michigan, Glenn Rice, and for Iowa, Kevin Gamble. And a check in the amount of $1,000 will be donated to each college's general scholarship fund. Final second.
That's two. That's two.
Iowa with a deliberate foul in the backcourt will send up one of our Chevy MVPs, Glenn Rice, to the free throw line for Coach Frieder.
And Bill Frieder wanted two there, and I think he should have got it. Brett, what I think Tom Davis wanted to do the last time was to call the timeout and let his team stay right down on the floor, but he couldn't get the officials' attention quickly enough. Frieder making sure none of his fellas are down around the basket so they don't pick up a cheap foul.
What a sensational shooting performance he has turned in here in the second half. Glenn Rice, 7 of 7 from the field. And perfect at the free throw line. A total of 32 points by Glenn Rice. A sophomore.
There's a good pump fake. Jobert fouled. The last thing Bill Frieder wants one of his players to do is to commit a foul.
Antoine Jobert fouling out at the 42nd mark. Jack Kramer, the freshman guard, replaces him.
Number 2 scorer all time is Quincy, down in Quincy, Illinois, behind Bruce Douglas, the outstanding player for Illinois, graduated last year.
And Kramer played with Douglas's brother on that Quincy team. (99-86). Grant was open, and now Rice overleads him out of bounds.
Well, again, he's got to remember that the clock is in his favor there. No need to make that pass. Rice hollers over to Grant, it was my fault.
That may be Rice's only mistake in this game. Jones glides for the layup, and a timeout is quickly called by the Hawkeyes. 27 seconds to go, 99-88. Michigan wrapping it up. Iowa not surrendering. We'll take a break. And remember, coming up right after this, Syracuse and Georgetown. Michigan leading Iowa 99-88. 27 seconds to go. And this will change the standings to look this way in the Big Ten. For the Hawkeyes, it would be their second loss. They would drop a half game behind Indiana and Purdue, and Michigan would move to 6-3, and Bill Frieder calls a timeout. He wants to bring the Wolverines. What did he notice?
I don't know what he noticed at this point, but Brent, I want to point something out this year, and I saw that Jim Valvano's NC State team had a crucial mistake or foul. I guess it'd be a turnover called against them. When you're in the timeout situation this year, the referees are much more aware of when they blow that whistle to put the time back in play. In that particular case, they were on the foul line, didn't get out in time, the ball was taken away from them.
Well, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back for the final 27 seconds. Long pass to Grant. Here's Rice. He is wrapped up by Mo and sent to the floor. And Frieder wanting the two-point shot in this situation with his star taken down. No question, this is a two-pointer.
Now, in addition to that, Brent, he will get the ball out of bounds because he was in the act of shooting. So he's going to get two and the ball out of bounds. That was not a smart play by Mo at all.
I don't think Frieder was very pleased with Mo either.
Well, Mo did
I'm not an expert at reading lips, but...
Well, it's all right to grab a guy, but you don't want to grab a guy when he's shooting because then you defeat your purpose. So he will get two shots and the ball out of bounds. You know something that surprises me, Brent? I did not think Michigan. Here you'll see the play. He's in the act of shooting with a deliberate foul, so he'll get two free throws and the ball out of bounds. I didn't think Michigan could win a game if it got up in the 90s. They sure have done the job.
Not perfect after all. 33 points for the afternoon, and that's the first shot of any kind that he's missed second half.
Whoa. This should be Michigan's ball. There we go. Thought they were going to give the ball out the other way.
Quick hit layup that didn't fall for Grant. 17 seconds to go. Armstrong gliding in. So we wind this down toward the final 10 seconds. And Michigan will have upset Iowa. Rojas, good three-pointer. Missed on that one, though, and Jones hits for the layup, and that's it. Michigan upsets Iowa, 192. For Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger saying so long from Chrysler Arena in Ann Arbor. The final score, Michigan 100, Iowa 92. Syracuse Georgetown is next. NCAA basketball has been a presentation of CBS Sports.